Hello, this is Martin Limited back for another video. This time we are continuing where we were left off. Yeah, unit's going there. The opening of the 7th KMT National Conference. Inside the same chamber in which the National Assembly usually convenes, the 7th National Conference of the Kuomintang, Chinese National Party, was opened. The National Conference will be focusing on the Kuomintang's reform of the regeneration plan as initiated in the previous National Congress and by the Kuomintang Central Committee. After the national victory in the Civil War, the gradual full implementation of the Constitution passed by Chiang Kai-shek to pursue more proactive reforms of the Kuomintang to improve the credibility and competitiveness of the party. Therefore, for the 7th National Congress, the delegates are expecting announcements related to the supposedly completed party reforms. Regardless, these speculations, as thousands of delegates gather inside or in from the portrait of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the opening ceremony finally begins with the party ironic formality. Recite the Premier's will. So get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of this and that. You go there. You are fighting over here, there. We can get Kiva, the Kuomintang against Leventi Beria. So the emergency committees have been established. We're going to send volunteers to these two people, but we will send guns. Influence Cambodia. We were opposition leaders. And you a bunch of you. To Attaba. The first conference of the CRC. After the Director General Chiang Kai-shek delivers heard of the National Congress opening speech, the results of the KMT party reforms will finally be announced to the whole party, with a long list of reforms performed and with varying results. The Central Ratification Committee (CRC), the Reform Committee's personnel appointed by the Director General to oversee the drastic reforms of the Kuomintang, is scheduled to deliver multiple work reported showcasing the results of recent reforms of the National Congress, which total of 4 reports scheduled. Most attention are concentrated on the first and second reports. Premier Chen Cheng was the speaker to deliver the first report. In his speech, Chen Cheng affirmed the party's commitment to the democracy and tridentism, whatever tridentism is, laying out the several strategies for the party to strengthen its position in China, such as the total overhaul of the Central Committee and the Supervisory Committee. In addition, the report details the implementation of stricter party membership Senators have resulted in hundreds of memberships for revocations, ensuring that the corrupted and low-quality members will be swiftly removed and preserve party integrity. While reports conclude without issues, rumors have been circulating that Chen Cheng hesitated before shaking it Chiang Kai-shek's Kao's where he is, and prior to the opening of his report, with some gossip suggests that it might be indication of more complicated issues between the two. The second report of the CRC will be coming soon. A bunch of you. The UN adopts a rose group. Switzerland's now in there. The French Civil War, pro-France forces recently took control of the government following Laval's death, hoped to arrest the remaining fascist forces in France, but we were unsuccessful. Now the fascist forces have regrouped and attempting to push the Napoleon back. Three French forces in Africa on their way to metropolitan France to join the Allies attempting to exterminate the fascist force. Chaos. So France has lost not lost, the war tried to go. This music will still continue. The UN adopts resolutions for a second HQ in a session at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The resolution has passed, granting China the status of hosting the second United Nations headquarters. It may be some time for the building is completely, but the architecture from across the nation has already begun sketching out possible headquarters. Sooner or later. The United Nations will be meeting in more places than one. Good news in global representation. That's good. Comoros Islands treaty. Start construction on that. That will be 250 years. First type of day to get more political power. Get you, one of you. You go there, you go here, you go there. Alright, Free France. Get you, put you in there, and ship you off to French government in exile. Alright, you don't allow depth flow. Troops in South Africa finally got to it. So we go over there. And Zhang Fakiao, veteran from the North Vietnam campaign. Anyway, the second report of the CRC. A few days after the first This report was delivered together once again for a second report for his speech. Xing Kao, son of Chiang Kai-shek, and the rising star in the party's central, is tasked with the delivery of this portion of the report. Xing Kao, whose speech focused on the Kuomintang's new mass line of strategies and the progress of ongoing reconstruction, the party membership position. Xing Kao notes that the Kuomintang is absorbing more members of the working class, peasantry, and the youth in an effort to cement KMT's role as the popular party for all Chinese people. In order to achieve this, the CRC has agreed to address the rising industrial labor concerns before it becomes too bloated for the party to handle. Qing Kao also assured that the CRC's decision to adopt a mass line is not contradictory. Wait, oh god damn it. Alexa, the time for 30 minutes. I completely forgot.
30 minutes, starting now.
To the continued relevance of the existing Kuomintang cadre, most of whom belong to higher social classes. In addition to the increased intake of traditionally lower classes of the Chinese social, Xing Kao also reports that the CRC has decided to emphasize the importance of ideological fervor in maintaining an energetic party. Notably, Xing Kao, whose speech was centered around the themes of party popularity, in line with theme Xing Kao at one point lightheartedly mentioned a few examples of recent unpopular misconducts that he and the CRC has to evaluate rigorously. He personally recalled a case from Yunnan in which unruly party elements performed unsanctioned, overambitious acts. These were secret agents, he said, were sympathetic, showing the party's weakness in communication and dangerous ambition of certain clearly unqualified personnel, risking the overall popularity of the party for personal gain. As usual, the speech concluded with no issues but during the small storytelling segment, while the overwhelming majority listened attentively, a few barely audible gasps were heard, and a handful of sharp turns turned their attention to Premier Chung-Cheng, who was still sitting on the stage along the CRC colleague. He looked annoyed. So we're eventually going to auto-complete a focus. Oh, that's so loud. This one. Maybe we're going to support Xing Kao. There. Germany's limited intervention into France. Ghanaian membership to the United Nations? Yeah. All nations should be allowed to the Union of Nations. You call back Free France. go to Sitterware. And Karen Sid has won. Only a UN membership. That free French unit has got there. So you're on the front lines. Brittany's about war one day with the state of Briz. That will soon pass away. So anyway, forward changes and central reforms were not really paid much thought to the subsequent, much shorter term third and fourth report of the CRC, the National Congress, in which the first voting decision to affirm the findings of the reforms proposed by the Central Reunification Committee. Effectively, immediately upon the passing of this decision, the responsibilities of the of the dormant Central Supervisory Committee of the Kuomintang Chinese Nationalist Party has been officially delegated to a newly established organization, the Central Review Committee of the Kuomintang. A secretariat committee within the party. The leader of the Central Review Committee is appointed by the Central Committee, while the member of the Central Review Committee consists of party bureaucrats and members elected by the National Congress. In this arrangement, the Central Review Committee is responsible for the handling of discipline of monitoring party reforms. Subsequently, Zhu Jiahao was appointed the Central Committee to serve the first secretary of the Central Review Committee, while the Director General, Chiang Kai-shek, is automatically appointed as chairperson of the Central Review Committee. It is rumored that the appointment of Zhu Jiahao sparked some controversy from Jin Liu and a few of his associates in the Central Committee, but they were ultimately stronger armed into accepting this arrangement by the collective efforts of the Director General, Chen Cheng, and Xing Kao. In addition, the establishment of the Central Review Committee, the Central Committee received several reforms, such as the formal inclusion of the National Congress elected representation in the Central Committee, of the introduction of the alternative members and a standing committee. These are important steps for a modern party, and now there's a new clique, the Zhu Jiahao clique. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, there's going to be more cliques appearing. By the way, I forgot to mention that. Prepare the CRC report. There it is, the Zhu Jiahao clique. The opponents of the Central Club. Go into there. And move on. Disagreements within the party. From time to time, the debates escalate into disagreements. While it is necessary factors to maintain a revolutionary party, these types of incidents to damage the unity of the party. Minor disputes, nothing unusual. So that's done. A new movement. As the great powers, we must expand our influence to protect both ours and Asia's interests as a whole. So, influence. You go here. You go there. No filled inflation. All those have been turned back. The Dihao race riot. Initially, the non-government war showed Shikai's loyalty and constituted a nationwide remote reorganization efforts by appointing him the governorship of Xinjiang. This civilian position was maintained federally influence in Xinjiang's local affairs. Shikai is able to maintain its own epidemic kingdom with the use of politics, force, education allowed corruption. All of these privileges were allowed under the assumption that Qin was through the effective control of the border regions. Assumptions that many have came to regret. And as a response to Shikai's almost dictatorial authority, the irrelevant countryside unrest has finally spilled over into Dihao, the capital of the region, also known as Romkey, causing the incident that he was finally unable to cover up. This rare instance of national interest in Xinjiang affairs have gave fuel to opposition in many of our ranks, while calling for intervention to recite our previous mistake and allowing Chiang Kai to retain any sort of authority in Xinjiang. I agree, counting he was basically a communist who was a puppet for the Soviets, so getting rid of him is a good idea. Get rid of this madman. And add a kingdom of Paul to our sphere. Form the World Health Organization, World Food Program. Calls for a multilateral food aid program have been brought forward to the Geneva Assembly under the resolution. The World Program will provide emergency food relief for countries in need. I vote approve this. And MacArthur is now elected president. That's successful. Is it successful? So, they reappear. Go into those. There's an archaeological training. Infiltrate Calcutta again. There's more political power. All these other things, and total realization of tritheism. to the wider party and all party publications. They are informed by the party press that the Kuomintang National Congress has adopted a resolution of its Director General Chiang Kai-shek titled to total realization of trideism. It is a largely symbolic resolution reaffirming the Kuomintang territorial commission to the full realization of vision of Sun Yat-sen, which is intended to be interpreted by the public as a show of unity within the party ranks. What the public doesn't see, however, was the process in which this resolution was adopted. Most of this 7th National Congress is open to the press. The particular session was a closed-door meeting. Originally, the meeting's only purpose was to vote on the passed resolution raised by the Director General. However, a week prior to the meeting, a group of young reformist members, headed by Li Chang, presented a detailed ep3 resolution titled Kuomintang's Commitment to Democracy, which gathered dozens of signatures and sponsored it, urging a national congress to vote on the resolution. In this meeting, the ep3 resolution was submitted to the National Congress Secretariat office, and it was implied that the National Strategic might actually process the resolution for voting. Yet, the disappointment of the reformers, there was no sensation of such a resolution during the meeting, which prompted several reformers to leave the meeting in the middle of its proceedings. Thankfully, careful information suppression has ensured that the little incident will now happen in the media. More disunity in the party. Here. We'll read back to here. Closing the National Congress. After days of meeting and events, the 7th National Congress of the Kuomintang finally ended with a typical closing ceremony. The closing ceremony for the publication of the plenary declaration, a document detailing the party's universal support for the party's reformations, respect for the wishes of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, and in the document, besides the point of ruled by the Central Unification Committee, it is also declared the Kuomintang's commitment to uphold the democratic constitution of the Republic of China. Regardless of the National Congress, rather tense atmosphere, the decision was made during the course of it will undoubtedly be crucial to determining the future success of the Kuomintang. Thank God it's over. So this focus tree has been done. Influence Cambodia. CP222. Intimidate activists. Send troops to all these missions. Influence. So who shall appoint the new government? Chen Shikai has been forced to resign his governorship to take up some obscure government position in Nanjing. While the people of Xinjiang rejoice, it is time for the central to appoint a new replacement. How about Xing Kao? So do you, you. Everything's good here. Like that. Alright. Unrest in Hubei. Armed with swords, spears, and other muskets, more and more disgruntled peasants in Hubei countryside has rebelled against the government authorities, sending the military police. Annual food program has been established. Rural patrols. Check Malaysia. Nothing's changed there. South Africa. Opened that battle. Colombia. Nothing changed there. Bukhara. Got Kiev. Now just moving. Kiev suffered. New tactics were learnt. You are going. You two here. You go into there. And then we move on. I think I missed one. That's a lot of stuff that happened so quickly. Very good. So Francisco Franco just died. That's pretty early. Didn't die till like the 50s. Anyway, put you under the Tumu faction leader Lu Zhu-ying. Put you under here. Put you under here. Behind closed doors, the Free China Journal. As per tradition, the Free China Journal is always quick to criticize the government and the Kuomintang for a liberal perspective. While the Free China Journal is undoubtedly authoritarian in the sense that it was founding deeply intertwined with the Kuomintang, it is usually not as widely consumed as is often treated by a piece of media, specifically catered to rich or middle-class liberal intellectuals. To spite it of this fact, a recent publication of the Free China Journal has generated quite a stir of society. Titled Behind Closed Doors, authored by Yin Haoguang, details the reliable accounts from certain delegates regarding the likeness performance of the Kuomintang National Conference in addressing real concerns instead of article pointing the Kuomintang as a tired old party riddled with irreconcilable factionalism. This article was specifically engaged. Sorry, I'm looking for this around distance with its vivid description of the Kuomintang recent dysfunctions, stating that the party must engage in real, meaningful democratic reforms in order to bring about the actualization of Dr. Union's and Sun Yat-sen's democratic vision. Non-party affiliated publications and the opposition parties have latched onto the information widely publicized by the negative aspect of the recent National Congress. A statement published on the Central Daily News on behalf of the Kuomintang has rejected all claims by the Free China Journal and has explained that the Kuomintang served the right to pursue legal action and party discipline action against any baseless defamatory publication made against the Kuomintang and the individuals mentioned. We need to react quickly. So, yeah, that's happened. First time it's bid too. Let's send some troops to support Colombia. Wang Ming once has arrived. Wang Ming was a senior member of the Chinese Communist Party, has been a foreign and hostile for many years. However, he had resided in Vladivostok since his expulsion from the CPC, the Chinese Communist Party. He continued writing inflammatory communist articles. He always that was the CCP, the Central of the Kuomintang thing I completely forgot after reading it. One of the things. The inflammatory communist articles that always made their way across the border into Dongbei. The Russian Parliament authorities have finally dealt with this so-called Vladivostok Bureau and handed the rabble-rouser to us the sign of good faith and to improve our relations with the West Platform state. At the Harbin airport, local authorities prepare for the communist arrival. While we can get rid of Wang Ming and serve justice to the veterans and victims of the Civil War, we also take this opportunity to show mercy on him, as he is no longer associated with the vile Calcutta Gong Feed. And it might also satire the most bleeding heart liberals who dislike the president's old communist rhetoric. So get more stability or more political power. Arrest and execute him. Research encryption. There those. Place 2 of them. You are a member of the Chumu clique. Find the Jianben. Get 4 authority trains. Gonna put you under another Chumu clique member, Hu Lian. This is weird. The Heavenly Dynasty of Ming proclaimed. Jizhen County, Hubei, local Zhugongdao sect led by Hui Jinlu organized a secret ceremony in it Over 3,000 followers of the secret society bestowed different levels of titles, and the Heavenly Dynasty of the Ming was proclaimed. And according to their beliefs, 9 out of the ever 10 Chinese will soon die in a Alexa stop. Westerners' invasion of China hinted the only followers of the Heavenly Dynasty of Ming will be spared from the destruction. With the doomsday-style rhetoric, the cult rebellion quickly gained members in and Hui Jinglu, acting as emperor, continues to exploit the positions of power, forcing his will on the most loyal followers. Heavenly what? So, a Taiping Heavenly Kingdom is now spawned in Hui Bay, which is that's Hebei. I think it's down here. Here. Around Jingzhou. It's the Second Soviet Republic, also in Hubei. Hubei is full of these. The Second Soviet Republic has been claimed. In the Hubei countryside, approximately 30 men dressed in ragged military outfits, armed with bolt-action rifles, appeared before a disgruntled peasants. They greeted the peasant with enthusiasm and requested the audience with the peasant leader. Soon after, a brief meeting was held and locals were summoned to the village square for a rousing speech. A makeshift stage was a giant painting of the late communist leader Mao Zedong. Behind it was constructed. A group of strange outsiders stood on the stage before one of them stepped down forward and speak. He told the peasants his name, Political Commissar Zhang, revealed that they were the remnants of the 8th Group Army. Zhang then ordered his soldiers to escort the 3 retained men to the stage. A local gentry that was well known for mistreating workers, a merchant who stole goods at extraordinary rates, and a rich landowning farmer. Zhang then offered the crowd revolutionary justice and proclaimed them total land redistribution. He also declared the Communist Party is returning soon, and his men are official representatives of the Communist Party. Following these declarations, excited peasants rushed onto the stage and, together with the communists, prayed to Mao Zedong and incensed sticks. And the simple ceremony was then held with the Second Soviet Republic was proclaimed. The Second Chinese Soviet Republic, it means. So more communist support as well. So with these small things being done, I call this video a Jew. After doing all this influencing stuff, so the most likely the last hack of the day. Sense of truce to pacify Hubei, and the Indians haven't popped up a puppet coup de government in Iran, so that's a good thing. So with all that, I call this video a Jew. So hope to see you next time. Hope to see you again. And bye bye. Bye. Oh, right.